All right, let's jump right in. We tend to think of modern finance as this crazy world of algorithms, high-speed trading, and just tons of data. But what if I told you that the best tools for surviving it all were actually created over 2,000 years ago? Today, we're going to explore how some timeless wisdom from the ancient Greeks and Romans can actually help us solve our most modern financial problems.
It's a really interesting question, isn't it? I mean, we have more information right at our fingertips than any generation in history. And yet our markets are still driven by the same old human emotions: fear, greed, overconfidence, you name it. It really feels like our technology has gotten way ahead of our own judgment. So the big question is, why?
And this slide really gets to the heart of it. On one side, you've got the total chaos of modern finance, all haste, data overload, and just pure impulse. But on the other side, you have the principles from classical thought: discipline, judgment, and maybe most importantly, clarity. This isn't just about old versus new. It's really about finding a solid framework to help us make better decisions in all this noise.
And here's the real kicker. Our financial problems? They aren't new. The very things that trip us up today, our biases, our emotional reactions, they were spotted and diagnosed thousands of years ago. But the ancient thinkers didn't just point out the problems, they actually built mental models to fight against them. And believe me, those models are more relevant right now than ever before.
So that brings us to our first big idea, this 2,000-year-old blind spot. What is it? Well, it's that huge gap between all of our technical skill, all the charts and data we can analyze, and our actual clear-headed judgment. Let's dig into how this ancient wisdom can help us close that gap.
So where do we start? Well, the ancients would tell you that the very first step is always winning the battle inside your own head. Before you can even think about mastering the markets, you've got to master your own mind. So this part is all about conquering those emotional and psychological traps that lead us to make our worst financial moves.
Let's kick things off with a big one: hubris. The Greeks saw this as a truly fatal flaw. It's that excessive confidence that just completely clouds your judgment. In finance today, hubris is that little voice in your head that whispers, "Oh yeah, I know exactly where the market is going." It's the overconfidence that leads to trying to time the market, which, let's be honest, almost never ends well, because it's based on belief, not actual evidence. And to fight this, the Greeks had these incredible sayings that basically double as modern investing rules. Meiden agon, nothing in excess. That translates perfectly to avoid aggressive market timing. Then there's hubris proptosos atia, arrogance brings downfall. What does that mean for us? Treat those super bold forecasts with a heavy dose of suspicion. See, these aren't just old proverbs. They're literally risk management principles you can use today. So how do we actually fight hubris and all those other emotional traps? The Stoics had a really powerful answer: kratein pathei, which means master the emotions. Now, this isn't about becoming a robot or suppressing how you feel. It's about not letting your feelings be the one driving the car. And for an investor, that is an absolute superpower.
Okay, so what does this look like in the real world? Well, a Stoic investor makes a clean break between their feelings and their decisions. They only make a move when logic and their strategy say it's time. They stay cool, whether they're winning or losing, which helps them avoid classic blunders like panic selling or getting greedy. They watch the market, they observe it, but they don't just react to every little twitch. That discipline is the wall that stands between you and a lot of very expensive mistakes.
All right, so once you've started working on that inner game, it's time to shift our focus. Let's talk about the second pillar: mastering your strategy. This is all about the external stuff. It's not just what you're thinking, but what you're actually doing, your decision-making process, your timing, and how you engage with the market.
I absolutely love this Roman concept, festino lente. It translates to make haste slowly. Now, I know it sounds like a complete contradiction, but it is such a brilliant idea for finance. It's all about moving with purpose and speed, but never, ever getting reckless. You maintain momentum, but you don't sacrifice your judgment. So what does that mean for you? Well, moving at a measured pace gives you the time to spot gaps in your data. It lets you double-check your own assumptions, and crucially, it helps you tell the difference between a real signal and just, market noise. Rushing almost always leads to bad decisions, but making haste slowly, that improves the quality of every single move you make.
This leads us to this fantastic Roman formula for making decisions: ratio et consilium. Think of it as two parts of a whole. First, you have ratio. This is your foundation of reason. It's all about basing your choices on verified data and having clear limits on your risk. But, data alone isn't enough.
and that's where concilium comes in. That's the human judgment that's been sharpened by experience and context. A truly sound decision isn't just one or the other, it's the perfect combination of both.
And when you have that kind of discipline, you naturally start focusing on the long term. There's another great Roman phrase for this: per aspera ad astra, through difficulties to the stars. It perfectly describes the journey of a long-term investor. You stop getting distracted by all the short-term noise, the sentiment swings, the sense of urgency, and instead you lock in on the things that really matter: fundamentals, patience, and discipline.
Okay, on to our third and final pillar. And honestly, this might be the one that gets overlooked the most, but it's the bedrock of the entire financial system: mastering integrity. We're not just talking about morals here. We're talking about building a system of trust that has real, tangible economic value. The Roman foundation for this is beautifully simple. Pacta sunt servanda. Agreements must be kept. Our entire global market runs on this single idea. Trust is a financial asset. It makes borrowing cheaper, it makes partnerships stronger, and it just makes the whole system work. The moment that trust starts to break down, everything gets more expensive, more difficult, and a whole lot riskier.
The Roman statesman Cicero basically gave us a timeless checklist for this. He said, "Keep your words and your actions lined up. Report information accurately. No fuzzy math, no hidden details. Understand how your choices affect other people. And maybe most importantly, build the habit of honesty." It's not about one big grand gesture. It's about the daily grind of just being reliable. And the Greeks had their own take on this, called kone ethini, or shared responsibility. It's the idea that keeping a company stable isn't just the CEO's job, it's everybody's. When every single person understands how their work affects the whole, you start to eliminate blind spots and reduce risk. It's really about building a culture where everyone feels like they're protecting the team.
So let's wrap all of this up in our final section, the Timeless Toolkit. Look, what we've been putting together here isn't just a list of quirky old sayings. It's a powerful, coherent operating system for making smart financial decisions, and it's just as useful today as it was in the Roman Forum. So let's do a quick recap of the 3 core pillars. First, master your mind. That means getting a handle on your emotions and your hubris. Second, master your strategy. Combine that hard data with seasoned judgment and a whole lot of patience. And third, master your integrity. Build trust by being consistent and taking responsibility.
And at the end of the day, here's the biggest takeaway. In a world that is obsessed with finding the next genius algorithm or the perfect predictive model, the single most valuable tool you will ever possess is a disciplined mind. Sound judgment built on these timeless principles is what separates real, sustainable success from just a lucky break.
So, I'll leave you with this one final thought to chew on. All of us have access to modern tools, modern data, modern everything. But the real question is your judgment timeless? And that might just be the most important financial question you ever ask yourself.